My earliest memory is riding in my grandfather's boat, arm over the side, hand in the spray. I've spent much of the rest of my life chasing this feeling. All of that has led to this, the wooden boat experience. Welcome to the wooden boat experience. A couple of things before we get going on what happened this week. One thing we've been trying to do is figure out a way to get merchandise out to people. So I ordered something from a channel that I like that is one of the options for us. And this channel's in Australia, so I'm figuring worst case scenario. And it's a company called Teespring. So I wanted to see how long would it take and how good was the printing and everything. If you guys don't know about Dangar Marine, you should check that channel out. And it looks like a nice shirt. It took a long time to get here, but I think that's because of COVID. I'm reserving judgment on the shipping until I give them a chance when things aren't so crazy. Also this week I got a nice letter from John out in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. Thanks John for the letter. And also Mike Savage sent me one and dropped off these boat parts because in the summer he lives right down the road. And both of you guys, there's stickers on the way to you, so check your mail. Our coffee that I mentioned a couple weeks ago, this week, if you put a comment in, I'm going to randomly pick a number of a comment, and the person this week is going to get one of these Wooden Boat Experience Honduras Mahogany coffees in the mail. So if you're ever going to comment this week. And Patreon members, there's a bunch of chances for you to get one. So if you check your messages in Patreon, you're going to see a message from me that gives you a chance to try some of this Wooden Boat Experience coffee, which is done by my buddy Dan, who's a real boat guy, and his company is called Gatodiablo, and he roasts all this coffee by hand and does a great job. Now, truth be told, I've only had one spoonful of coffee in my whole life. I was 16 years old. Somebody told me I really needed to try it, and if I was going to be in business, I took a spoonful, I didn't like it, and I never had it again. I love the smell of it. I love these bags being around. I love it if it's roasting, or not roasting, but brewing in the house when my daughters are here or some friends that like coffee, but I don't drink it. But from what I'm told, this stuff is excellent. So comment this week and maybe you will get some Wooden Boat Experience coffee at your house. So I'm here in the Lyman. I am not going to put the Dangar Marine shirt on because it's black today and it's really hot here today. It's approaching 90 degrees at some point today. It's not bad in the shed here because the ground hasn't warmed up in here yet. Putting some more varnish on, waiting for a new Jamestown Distributors shipment for some more varnish because I'm running low. But I'll get done what I need to do today, and hopefully in a few days the Lyman is going in the water. So I'm glad you guys could join me, and let's get on with this week's episode. I didn't ignore the Chris craft this week. I keep fairing and sanding repeatedly in between everything else that goes on this time of year. I forget how busy I become when the weather warms up. There's a link to a great 1960s home movie on the top right of the screen. I really liked it. Thanks, David Powers. Well, to call that fun might be a stretch. It was 100 in here earlier, but I was working on the Lyman. And then I came back and had to mow the lawn. And after a comedy of errors this week, we were down to a 22-inch push mower. At least it was self-propelled. The tractor was down, the walk behind was down, but it had to get done because it was so deep. So I opened up the front door and figured I'd come back in here when it cooled down, and it did, to 90. But you can't leave this fairing compound on too long, so that's sanded off, and I'm not putting any more on tonight because I don't know if I'll be able to sand tomorrow, but a little bit done each day, and eventually it's finished. Some of it is really getting there. and other parts have a long way to go. I'm getting a better idea of how many coats to put on, how thick to put it on each time. I do not want these heads sticking up, so I'm going to put just a fine coat over each one of these, and then be careful on the last sand. You can see there's a few of them, but I've taken care of a lot of that problem. These rivets aren't loose, it's just that the wood has been worn away from rubbing on things. I did manage to get a bit of work in on the engine, and I began rebuilding the carb. I'm going to save this footage for when the engine is started. Next week, I hope. Well, I'm down here in the boat shed with my Lyman, my friend Jay's Lyman, and I'm responsible for making sure both of these are ready to go in the water this week. Taking a little break from the Chris Craft, although I did work on it this morning. It's Memorial Day, and right now I'm putting together a plan for both of these boats of what needs to happen for them to go in the water. Should be fairly minor. A lot of work was done on both last year, and I'll know in a little while. So you can see that the starboard side has been lightly sanded with 220, then wiped off with this rag, where this side has been sanded with 220, but has yet to be wiped off. Just showing you what the difference looks like, so I'll wipe a little bit of it off. It just takes a light wiping off. Knock the rag out once in a while, and it's ready for a coat or two of varnish for this year. Now, there's some issues on this deck on the bow. There's a couple of Dutchmans that don't quite match, but they are put in well. There's some areas where the varnish was gone, and last year I just covered it up. But right now with this boat, I am using it, and I'm just trying to keep it safe and not deteriorating any farther. One thing to be careful of, never varnish over spider crap. Get it off. That's why I wiped this down with a rag and soap first. Well, a baby wipe with no scent or anything, and then sanded it because there was spider crap everywhere. The Chris Craft is too small to use with social distanced passengers, so the Lyman will be used this summer, and I will maintain it to keep the status quo. My plan for after the Chris Craft is finished is to build a small craft which can be rowed. I am currently favoring a St. Lawrence skiff. It is easy to take the Lyman for granted as it sits safely in the storage building all winter. But when I get back to it, I fall in love with it again. Few brands will handle the water of the St. Lawrence River better than a Lyman. Then it may be time to restore the Lyman. It will not be a quick restoration, as it is 8 feet longer than the Chris Craft. Anyway, the plan is to have it in the water this weekend, but after today, probably Tuesday. Use it, enjoy it, and make it the base for the wooden boat experience and the summer videos.